So welcome. Okay, so welcome to another episode of Conversation with Cyclists. Today we have Mr. Shardul Donde. Shardul is from Spain. His last name is Donde, which in Spanish means where. So, ¿cómo estás?
¿Cómo va? ¿Très bien? Muy bien.
Today on Conversation with Cyclists, we have Shardul Donde. Shardul, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Shardul. I've been cycling for the past 8 years and I'm 27, so I'm still fairly old, so I can't really get into competitive cycling. And but yeah, I mean, I love cycling and I've been doing this for the past however long with the same enthusiasm as I started it with.
So, Shardul, how many bikes do you have at the moment?
I just have 3 bikes.
Okay. Of which 2 are here.
Of which 2 are here, and the other one was a warranty replacement for the same bike, but I sort of like fixed the cracks. Yeah, so I've had this bike for the past 8 years, seen about 47,000 kilometers on it, and the components are the same still, and I've not really had the urge to change anything on it because it's been perfect the way it is. And the other one's this, which I got in the end of 2020. But I had to source tiny parts from like all over the world, so it's actually assembled in India, but designed and sourced from all over the world.
What is the company name?
It's Yolio. It's a Chinese company called Yolio.
Heard of them.
And I sourced all the Di2 parts, like from the tiniest junction box to all of the cables and everything from all over the world. And this is during the peak. Let's call it the peak 2021 lockdown all over the world season, and it took me a long time to assemble this bike, and I had it only for a month before it sort of cracked. That's why I got a replacement frame from them. So superb customer service from Yolio, and I just took all the parts. It's been running smooth ever since.
Now, if there's one thing that you don't know or you should know about Shardul is that he's one of the rim brake fanboys. As you can see, both his bikes, in fact, even the other bike has only rim brakes. Why is that, Shardul?
So I think I've been maintaining all of my bikes at home. It saves me a lot of money. It saves me a lot of time, and the parts are much cheaper. And I don't have to buy specific disc brake toolboxes and toolkits, you know. So that's one of the reasons why I keep a rim brake. And I was earlier a big fan of mechanical, but when I went to Di2, I was like, yeah, this is going to basically trump all the other group sets. So yeah, I went with Shimano because again, it's widely available. Replacement parts are much faster to source. Besides the cranks, I mean, I don't want to say anything against Shimano right now because I don't want to get cancelled and stuff. But yeah, Shimano, please sort your crank sets out. I've gone through 2 of them in a span of 3 months because it started cracking, and that's not a really good look on you, the biggest bike parts manufacturer. So yeah, I went with rim brakes because they are decently powerful. I wouldn't say as good as disc brakes, but I don't really need them because
Is that what happened to you coming down Borghat?
Because I don't. Did I fall? No, wait. Yeah, no, my point is disc brakes have their place, no doubt about it, but I'm still going to be a rim brake purist till my road bike is obsolete completely.
So tell them what was happening to your rim brakes when you were coming down Borghat.
Yes. So with me being I like to experiment with a lot of high performance upgrades. So I tried latex tubes and these carbon wheels with carbon braking surfaces. They got so hot that I wore off my pads and there was a risk of puncturing or rather bursting the latex tube. So I had to come down at, say, 5 kilometers an hour down.
No, not that slow.
Yeah, it's too slow, but yeah, quite slowly from say a minus 20-degree descent, minus 20% descent. So yeah, I should have gone ahead with aluminium braking surface rather than a disc brake. But anyway, discs do have their place, no doubt about that.
Okay, so would you consider yourself to be a sprinter, an endurance cyclist, or you're definitely not a casual rider? So what would you consider yourself to be?
So I actually started cycling, rather I bought a cycle for triathlons. I didn't even know how to cycle.
This one?
Yeah, this was the bike that I got. But I did not buy it in the same configuration. I bought it with drop handlebars and I put clip-on aero bars because that was a cheaper way to get into it without falling, you know, before I knew how to learn, before I learned how to cycle on it. So I started with this bike, had the most basic components on it, and managed to do decently well with Ironman, or rather Olympic level or Olympic distance triathlons. Once that happened, I sort of got a hang of it and a sort of taste for cycling. And then I just started cycling on it. And once I did that, I figured out that, yeah, I mean, I can do steady state efforts very well, but I would be categorically a sprinter if you look at the entire this thing, because I can put out extremely high number of, high wattages,
Watts.
but I can't sustain them for too long.
Okay.
Unless you tell me to sort of go for a very long distance over a certain period of time.
Okay. So what is your training regime like? Like how often do you cycle, and do you mix it up with hill repeats and so on and so forth?
Yeah, so this year has been a little, I wouldn't say the best in training for that matter, because I've had a lot of offs and I've turned into a cafe cyclist, as they call it. But the year prior, before I got COVID and before when I was very regular at it, I used to have so I used to cycle 5 days a week, and I used to have hill sessions, hill repeats, and I used to mix it up with sprint intervals and do steady state efforts.
Okay.
And I didn't have a very structured training regimen till 2019 when I learned the importance of recovery days. And that is one thing I cannot overstate. Recovery is key. Recovery is the best, and that is what helps you grow faster than doing maybe 6 or 7 day weeks. So yeah, you should try and recover, and as soon as you do that, have maybe an easy ride out, but start maintaining your heart rate. Yeah, I think that my training regimen has been fairly simple. It's not been extremely structured because I'm not really training towards anything. I just do it for the fun of it. But when I used to do it, it was fairly interval specific.
Okay. So right now it's more cafe rides and stuff like that.
Just get to
because
the
there's no
cafe.
goal at the moment.
There's no goal at the moment. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So another question I want to ask you is like, do you use a head unit? And if so, which brand of head units do you use?
Yes, I started with a watch. So I started with a watch in 2020. And that was the first time I ever got a head unit.
That's a Garmin.
It's a Garmin, yeah, sorry. So that was the first time I ever got myself something to track my activities. Otherwise, I just used my phone and map my ride or something along those lines. I think there was another one which was bought over by Under Armour. I'm not really sure which one it was, but when I started off with the Garmin, I started seeing a lot more data.
Yeah.
So whether that be heart rate, whether that be the average speed that I was traveling at, or whether I had to push myself on certain segments. Yeah. And we all know Strava is meant to chase segments. So that sort of progressed to getting myself a power meter, and then realized that the power meter doesn't sync to my watch. So I bought myself a Garmin 530, Edge 530 head unit. And purely because I don't like touchscreens on my bike, simply because it's a little too clunky for me at least. I don't want to fiddle around with touchscreens. So once I have it set, I just get onto the Garmin 530, put all of it on it, and it's not been too great with climbing because I suck at it, but I'm really good at steady state or just flat out efforts. So yeah.
You said you're using a power meter. Which brand is that?
I've been using so with the tri bike, I use the Stages because I find it,
So is that the single-sided or
that's the single-sided one, and the other one's a spider-based, like it's the crank spider-based one, which is by Power to Max, and that's very accurate, and that I like on the road bike because I can do a little more short bursts of effort, and they're still very accurate.
Okay, nice. Now coming down to basically bibs and jerseys and stuff like that, there are a lot of brands in the market that are there right now. Which one do you prefer and you like over the other brands? Do you have a favorite, like with bibs and jerseys?
Yes, with bibs, I definitely would go with something like this. This is the Velocio. I only recently got it maybe about a couple of months, 3 months ago, and they've been exceptional. So very good with hot days, and equally as good as any other brand on cold days as well. But for jerseys, I think I would give it to Map. I've tried a lot of jerseys, and I've still kept my first ever jersey. I still use it on a day-to-day basis. But that Map jersey was something which really changed.
But
that
why
entire
do you
comfort.
feel that the map jersey is that good?
Okay, so the fit is really nice. I have very unusually broad shoulders. I don't know why, but like it just sort of has always been the case. So just because it doesn't have those irritating armbands around, and a lot of the jerseys do have it, I don't really
It's
know
more
why.
laser cut, that's why.
Yeah, I think it's not laser cut, but it's very well sewn on together. So yeah, that fit is exceptional. It is extremely well ventilated. Not so good when you're doing cold days, but in Mumbai you rarely have
Yeah.
cold days. So yeah, I think jerseys wise Map, and bibs wise Velocio and Castelli would be my most preferred ones.
Okay. Now coming to cycling, there's quite a bit of content on YouTube with regards to cycling, whether it be bikepacking or races or
Yeah.
crits or stuff like that. What are the two YouTube channels that you like watching and you subscribe to? Musclemat TV better be one of them.
Musclemat TV is surely one of them. I subscribe to it for sure. Yeah, but excellent bikepacking content.
It's funny though, I've never seen his name pop up on my subscriber list.
Whoa, come on. Okay, it's probably because I come under pseudonyms.
Acha.
Just kidding.
So you say,
Yeah, so I like to nerd out on a lot of the technical side of cycling also. So Hambini is one of them.
Yeah.
Peak Talk is one of them.
Okay.
There's a guy which I think who started a cycling channel called China Cycling. His name's
Oh, yeah,
Joe.
yeah, yeah.
So he's the one who I got in touch with for
Windspace.
the wheels, and he helped me out. Exceptional wheels. Then I don't know how, but funnily enough, Hambini also got himself a pair of these wheels, tested them, and said, "Oh, you know what? These are one of the best." And I was like, "Wow! Thank goodness that I bought something that was good enough." So yeah, I think when it comes to the technical side of things, I would go with Hambini or Peak Talk. I don't really have a favorite out of those two. And for the race-oriented cycling, I think I would look at NorCal Cycling.
NorCal Cycling.
Because, man, that guy breaks down races very well.
very well.
Yeah. But there's also a couple more cyclists who've come up from Australia where, well, I don't remember his name, but then they have, these devil cycles.
Okay.
Exceptional group riding, and there's a couple of YouTubers who are really doing it well. And I would like to say GCN too at times.
Yeah, that's at times.
But then they do have a lot of promoted content,
They
which
do.
is it gets a little unsavory at times.
Okay, so let's have a quick fire round. Okay.
Quick fire.
So if you had to choose between which bike would you use, abuse, or keep? Okay, so would you use, abuse, or keep a Trek Madone, a Scott Addict 10,
Okay.
or a Canyon Grizzle CF SL?
Oh yeah, I would abuse the Canyon for sure.
Okay.
I would keep the Trek Madone, but the earlier Trek Madone, the SLR9s with the beautifully integrated brakes, rim brakes.
Okay.
And I would.
Oh, the rim brake ones.
Oh yeah, those
Yeah,
were the
yeah.
best.
Rim brakes.
Yeah, I love those. Those were. I think that was my dream bike, which I
Yeah, with a
couldn't
little
ever afford.
fin that opens up and you.
Oh yeah, it's so beautiful, right? Like when you turn, it just like sort of deflects.
Yeah.
Too good.
So, okay,
It's
so you
a
would abuse-
nightmare. I would abuse the Canyon.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a gravel bike, right? It's
Yeah.
supposed to be abused. I wouldn't. I don't know. I mean, I would use the Scott Addict,
yeah.
but I wouldn't really be keen on keeping it. But yeah, for sure the Trek. Or if you would ask me for another bike to keep, I would
Yeah.
definitely keep a Time Skylon. Just too good.
Time bikes, you should check that
Time
out
bikes,
also.
yeah.
Cool, sir. So what is your dream bike? What is your ideal dream bike that you would want right now?
Oh, right now, fully integrated. Let's say the. Wow, this is so difficult. I would go with the Time Skylon. Just for sure. It's a beautiful
No
bike.
one knows what a Skylon looks like, a Time Skylon looks like. It looks like this. Okay, Now, the next question is, what is the hardest climb you've done till date and where was that?
March 2020. It was back from Sikkim to Kalimpong.
What was the climb?
I think it's just back till the hotel. I don't really remember the name of that climb, but I have that on the Strava link. I can post that. It's 15% throughout for about 3 kilometers. It's just crazy. It's steep. There are just a bunch of hairpins. Yeah, just before the bridge to Sikkim, when you're coming back to Kalimpong.
Okay.
It's crazy. And
Is it harder than Mathiran?
Well, I would say so. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It is
Really?
extremely steep.
Okay, then that is badass.
Yeah, it is extremely steep.
Okay. Okay, would you do a 400 kilometer BRM? Would you bike pack for 5 days back to back to Goa? Or would you do an Everesting attempt? Which one of the three would you do?
So the Everesting attempt is something that I can do anytime that I want. I would like to do that, but I think a bike packing trip would be much more fun.
Okay.
Yeah. But when it comes to like pure grueling, challenge yourself to the max, I would go for an Everesting attempt for sure.
So given the three options right now, which one would you
Everesting
choose?
for sure.
Right
Everesting.
now.
Yeah, this year,
So
this time,
this year.
Everesting for sure.
Okay. So now most of the people that watch these videos are not as into, or rather not reached the level of cycling that most of us have reached. So what would be your advice to anyone who's trying to become a better cyclist?
Just keep at it. I think consistency is something that many of us, even at this level of cycling, would be struggling with. Like if you are consistent and if you enjoy your bike rides, they will be the best thing that you ever get to do. Yeah, cycling has been almost like a meditative experience for me because when I'm on the bike, I can zone out and completely just, dive into the cycling experience. So I think just consistency would be the key factor here. And make sure you get a good, well-fitting bike. Doesn't matter if it's expensive or cheap, just a bike that fits you is more comfortable than getting yourself a very expensive bike that doesn't fit you. So yeah.
Right, if you could just touch a little more on that, because many people, what they do is they go to buy a bike and they kind of don't know about sizes. So if you could just like shed a little light on why size matters so much.
Size matters a lot. It's never just about the motion in the ocean, but yeah. All right. So with bike sizes, it's a little odd because not every manufacturer has the same bike size. It's not a universal size like most t-shirts. But even in the world of t-shirts, a brand A would have a very different fit from brand B for the same size. So it's better to measure yourself at home. Inseam makes a big difference. The reach and your torso length makes a big difference. And it's usually smarter to go a size, either the perfect size for you, a size smaller is also preferable because you can make the bike slightly longer. But if you get a bike that's too big for you, the changes that you make to it to make it shorter are far too difficult, and sometimes it's not even worth it. And you will face a lot of problems, like if you're not flexible enough, you'll have back problems. If you're not, if the bike isn't, that adjustable, you'll have extreme reach issues, which will give you neck and shoulder and other such problems. So it's much better to have a well-fitted bike, have people, who are way more experienced than you, have a couple of words with them, have a proper session where they can teach you all about how they got that bike to fit them, and just do it. Like YouTube and Google are excellent resources, only if you know how to properly look for it. So yeah, I think Delton will also have a lot more videos on that, I hope.
So what he's basically trying to say is, like, now I'm 5'10" and I ride a 56 bike, which is basically an L in a frame size. But I've noticed that I've had to reduce my stem length from 100 to 90 mm because the reach is just a bit too much. Yeah. And if you spend a lot of time on the saddle and if your reach is too far, then your neck and your shoulders start hurting. Yeah. Some people have low back pain. So when you reduce the stem length, you basically get it a little closer, and so you're not reaching out as far as you can. Yeah. So in that case, I could have dropped down to a 54, 54 bike frame. So basically the sizing of your bike is very important because that's the frame that you will be with for the
For
time.
as long,
yeah,
yeah.
for as long as you have the bike. Whereas then you can only make a few changes is like how Shardul was telling me today in the morning is that if you go below a certain stem length, then the bike becomes so nimble to handle that you can actually, throw yourself off the bike if you're going really fast and you make slight, adjust turns, quick turns. So sizing is very, very important. Now coming back to, since Shardul is a rim brake guy, Shardul was going to tell me that he's going to go and buy a gravel bike sometime in the near future, but he's going to be getting.
I probably might be getting a rim brake bike. Well, it's not something that I would for a very long time, maybe in the past century. Everything has had rim brakes. I mean, it's one brake disc in front of your calipers anyway. But I mean, yeah, there are a few things that disc brakes will sort of be advantageous in, especially when in gravel or mucky situations. And on the rim, there are a few things that might look cooler also. But again, disc brakes have their advantages. Also, during descents, you might not have to go, pumping your hands as hard because of the rim. Well, they have their downsides too.
We'll see when he gets a gravel bike.
Yeah.
I bet
Stay tuned.
I bet it's going to be a disc brake.
Yep.
Okay. Any last words to anyone who's watching? Anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, I mean, with the advent of money or big money being thrown into cycling, I don't want people to feel like it's a sport that is completely out of reach. Any bike, it doesn't matter whether it costs 5 grand or whether it costs 5 lakh or whether it costs say 15 lakhs. A bike is a bike. It's ultimately you that powers the machine and not the other way around, unless you've got an e-bike, but that's a different story altogether. But with just bikes, it should be fun. It doesn't matter how fast you go or how slow you go. If you want to go fast, get fit, get yourself a bike that does it. If you want to go slow, be fit enough to let the bike take you to any place that you can go to. And I think with the popularity of bike packing and ultra cycling races also catching on, there is a sport for everyone. It needn't be just fast races. It can also be over a long period of time, over a long distance, over a lot of different terrains. So just find what makes you happy and stick to it. There's no need to feel ashamed of what clothes you wear. I still wear decathlon clothes and they're perfectly fine for any distance. Don't let anyone try to tell you that you need a certain bike or a certain brand of gear to achieve something that, it probably might be a little more convenient, but it doesn't mean you can't do it. Just stick to whatever you have and that's the best that you can get out of it.
Right. And to just add on a little to that is like the bike you have is the one that you have right now.
Right.
And if you don't have the money to buy a better bike, then just ride the bike that you have. And like he said, cycling is not just anymore about the competitive aspect of it, but you have races or crits, you have bike packing, you have BRMs, which you can do at your own time. Obviously, you have a certain cutoff, but you can do it at your own pace. The only person you're racing is against yourself. So if you want to get into cycling, like Shardul said, is just ride your bike, have fun. If you're actually having fun on the bike, is when you're actually going to do it more.
Exactly.
So in closing, I hope you liked this video. If you like it, you need to subscribe, like, comment, and share. I request you to do this because this helps the algorithm, know that this content is good, and maybe it'll then push it out to other people also. By sharing it, you can help other people who want to know more about cycling and you get some information, because we've had Gaurav on this, on this conversations episode. We now have Shardul. We're going to have a couple of more people, so the information will keep rolling out. But yeah, so like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.
Peace.